joining us now, friend of the program, NFL analyst Mark Schlereth, brought to you by Renegade Fantasy. The biggest evolution of fantasy football is here. Join the elite players that have already played Renegade, home of the clock stoppage and real-time substitutions. And a good afternoon, Mark. How the heck are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
We're doing good. You know, we're trying to figure out if this Cowboys team's going to be any better or more entertaining than last year. I guess George Pickens coming aboard, you know, what's the upside here on this Cowboys season?
Yeah, well, I mean, George Pickens, big-time player, right? Big-time playmaker. Now, you know, I mean, obviously he's had some issues in Pittsburgh, being disgruntled and, you know, being angry and all those things, and sometimes not playing up to his potential. So, you know, that's one of those things that you're going to have to deal with if maybe he doesn't see any time or any balls come his way with CeeDee Lamb on the other side. But he's a big-time player, man. If he's motivated and he's willing to do the dirty work, you know, run the for the love of the game routes and all those kind of things, then it creates a great 1-2 punch, arguably one of the best 1-2 punches in the National Football League. So it on the surface, I think, is a great move by the Dallas Cowboys.
How much does that help Dak? How much can that free up? I mean, even before the injury last year, he was not having a great season.
Yeah, well, really it comes down to how well you're going to run the ball, how well you're going to be physical, how well you're going to establish yourself in that vein so Dak can do the things that Dak excels at, right? Not only throwing the football, but running that play-action stuff, creating the big-time opportunities in the passing game, because that's really where it comes from. And, you know, I mean, obviously if you throw a go ball, you know, you have an access corner out there on the outside and you throw a go ball and you complete that go ball, that's great. That's awesome. But the running game is what establishes opportunity for you to take that 8-yard throw to a wide-open dude who doesn't have anybody within 7-8 yards of him and turn it into a 30, 40-yard gain. You know, one of those type of explosives, the easy throws, you know, the things that don't take as much skill or timing. And that's all based off how well you run the ball. And we all know that last year that was an issue, especially in a day and age. You know, you watch how the cyclical nature of the league, and you watch how the run game exploded last year and what teams are trying to do this year. I've watched a ton of preseason, just, you know, kind of bouncing around from game to game to game. And the number of just smash mouth fullbacks I've seen in the league, when they were like the dodo bird, man, they were extinct for a while. And all of a sudden I'm watching teams. I'm watching Seattle roll out new fullbacks. I'm watching Baltimore roll out a bunch of new fullbacks. You know, it's amazing. And part of it is the way defenses operate, right? There was so much passing game going on, and the linebacking core got so small so they could run with these guys, the tight ends and the backs out of the backfield. And next thing you know, everybody's playing this 4-2 front, and, you know, the linebackers are 215 pounds, and the offenses are going, wait a minute, let's put a 320-pound guard or a 310-pound fullback on this guy and just clobber snot him, you know? And so it's fun to watch. For me, it's fun to watch how that's changed.
Stink, can you fathom why the Cowboys wouldn't want to pay Micah Parsons?
Nope. I mean, I don't know. Like, you knew that Micah Parsons was a star when he was a rookie. You knew it. The guy is phenomenal. You knew it. Everybody knew it. Why would you wait? Why would you cost yourself more money in the long run when you find a star? As soon as you can pay that guy, you pay that guy, even if you have to set the market, because you know 6 or 7 guys are going to jump over him and he's going to become a bargain. And then you continue to kick the can down the road, renegotiate, re-up in the middle of his contract. And ultimately, you save yourself cap space. You save yourself money. When you wait, like the Cowboys waited with Dak Prescott, like the Cowboys waited with CeeDee Lamb, when you wait like they're waiting with Micah Parsons, what it does is it keeps you from really participating in free agency. And listen, man, free agency isn't the end-all, be-all, right? It's not great. You're going to pay A+ money for B- players. But the one thing that free agency allows you to do is to plug a hole, to instantly plug a hole with a veteran player, so at least you don't have to say, okay, now we got to chase that position in the draft. It allows you to kind of go, okay, let's plug that hole, and then, hey, we need to address that on our football team. But now we don't have to address it in the first round. We can take the best player that's out there that's going to benefit our football team. Maybe we address it in the second or third round. But like when you wait and wait and wait, you don't get to do that. I don't understand the philosophical approach the Cowboys have when it comes to signing their stars.
I think all of us are with you on that. It is absolutely just mind-blowing. Mark Schlereth with us here in the GBAG Nation. I want to go back to that Cowboys offensive line with you because I agree 100%. They're only going to be as good as that starting five up front. With Connor Riley coming in from K-State, Clayton Adams being brought over from the Arizona Cardinals, how much better do you think this offensive line can be with the addition of a guy like Tyler Booker, who they took in the first round?
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen, right? Because there's so much that goes into being good as an offensive line. It's being given the opportunity, being given the tool set to be good. Like so much of it comes down to play calling. And I will tell you, I'm a big Schottenheimer guy. And just watching him call plays and watching him establish the run game, be it in Seattle and other places that he's been, he's always been a guy that resonates with me. Like when you take a lot of sacks or you don't play well up front, it's so easy to point to the offensive line and say, hey, man, the quarterback got sacked. Well, let me just tell you, from my perspective, quarterback sacks, that's more of a quarterback-driven statistic than it is an offensive line-driven statistic. Most of the sacks, or a lot of the sacks, come from a quarterback not throwing the ball on time, by pulling it, by playing off schedule, by trying to escape out of the back of the pocket, all those things. And then when it comes to protecting a quarterback, a lot of that has to do with the way you call plays. And let's face it, in today's game, like it's different than when I played. Man, we threw a ton of 7-step drops. We threw a ton of 5-step drops with multiple hitches. Now you look at the game, man, so many 3-step drops, so many 5-step drops that the ball is out right now, all in gun, or majority of it's in gun, tons of bubble screens that we didn't even have. When I first got in the league, there was no such thing as a tunnel screen, a wide receiver screen. Didn't exist, right? And so there's so many more opportunities to have the ball out of your hand right now in today's game that a lot of you being good up front has to do with how committed you are to running the game, or running the ball, how committed you are to giving your offensive lineman an opportunity to be aggressive in the passing game. And so a lot of that falls on coaching. So, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. It's not just having guys that are better than everybody else. It's your guys playing as a unit and be given the tool set to play as a unit. To me, that's really what sets the really good offensive lines and coaches apart from the really bad ones.
Stink, when you look at this Cowboys offensive line, and they go out and they get a Tyler Booker, and to me, I look at their scheme and I kind of think, oh, it's power gap, and that's kind of how they're going to operate. And we watched some training camp practices, and it looked like that's kind of the way that they're going to go. Is what type of a back do you have to have if you're going to run a power gap scheme? What kind of back is really necessary for that?
Oh, well, I mean, I think one of the things is just understanding, regardless of the scheme, the back to me has got to understand the scheme, understand the weakness of the defense and the fronts. And, it's really interesting, man. I did this, I guess it was last week, did a Telestrator breakdown on the Stinking Truth podcast on YouTube. You can go check it out, watch it on YouTube. But it's really cool because it was about entry points, the entry point of the running back. And I was talking about R.J. Harvey in Denver. And one of the things I talked to Sean Payton about and talked to Zach Streif, their offensive line coach, about is one of the big issues we have with the running game is our entry points. We didn't coach it very well, and our running backs didn't really understand where they need to enter the line of scrimmage, which, is something that we talked about all the time when I played. But it's probably something that most people have never heard of. And so I'm watching the very first play of the first preseason game against San Francisco, and R.J. Harvey is supposed to enter into the line of scrimmage to run an 18 handoff, which is a zone play, and you're supposed to enter in the entry point is the inside hip of the tight end. So not where the tight end ends up, but where he starts on the line of scrimmage, stagnant. And R.J. Harvey hits it about 2.5, 3 yards beyond where he's supposed to go in. That's where he enters. And if he hits it in the right spot, it's an automatic 12-yard gain. And if he cuts back on that 12-yard gain, he's one-on-one with the corner. And we used to say all the time, if your running back one-on-one can't beat a corner, you need a new running back.
Sure.
Like, that's just not that's how it operates. But he took a automatic 12-yard gain and turned it into a 1-yard gain because he missed that entry point. And so part of what we used to coach a ton is, hey, man, you got to understand the fronts. So in that particular front, you had the tight end lined up over there. Well, in that particular front, you had a 5-technique defensive end who's on the outside shade of the offensive tackle, and you had what I would call a 7-technique Sam linebacker on the outside shade of the tight end. And so automatically, if you're a running back, you got to look at that and say, okay, the odds are that Sam backer is an edge player that has to set the edge and turn the ball back inside. So what you want to do is press it, let the linebackers flow, but understand based on the alignment, there's going to be a natural cutback lane. You're probably going to have to cut back. And so just where you enter into the line of scrimmage has so much of that is dependent upon where you enter in and how successful that run might be. And so that for me, for Dallas, whether you're running a gap scheme, whether you're running a zone scheme, and by the way, everybody runs it all, right? It's just what you major in. And the other thing is what a team runs defensively. Because some teams are set up, you're set up more to have success running zone that week, and the next team you play, it might be all, they may be playing a jam front where you feel like counters and powers are your best option to separate that defense. So it just depends on the defense and all those things. But really it comes down to do your backs really understand the scheme, what the weakness and the strength of the scheme are, and can they hit that entry point and trust what they've been coached to do?
Mark Schlereth killing it, as always, here with you in the GBAG Nation. Now, which former team of yours is most ready to take the next step and win the division, Denver or Washington?
I would say Denver because I think the division is closer to the Broncos than it is in Washington. I love what Washington did last year. They converted on 20 of 23 fourth down attempts. Like, that's not going to 87%. That's not going to happen again, right? Yeah. I mean, that can't happen again. They won a bunch. I think they won 9 one-score games. I mean, like, the odds are they're going to come back a little bit. I think they're still really good, but I think Philadelphia is truly. If you look at Phillies, I know you don't like to hear that in Dallas, but if you look at their roster, top to bottom, both defensively and offensively, their roster is just ridiculous. I mean, their offensive line, I think, is the best in football. Their back is certainly the best in football. You look at their 2 wide receivers, I put that tandem up against most tandems. You guys in Dallas might have something to say about that. Minnesota might have something to say about that, but they're close. I think Goddard is a vastly underrated, just a football player at the tight end position, can block guys, can stand up on the line of scrimmage, can also get loose in the passing game. So I just think, and defensively, they're loaded, top to bottom as well. So I think they're just an exceptionally good roster. So I think Denver has a little bit better path, even though they got 3 really good teams, Denver, Kansas City. I think the Chargers are going to be much improved. I think the Raiders are going to be much improved as well. So, but I think just Philly is really the class of that division.
This Renegade Fantasy looks like a pretty good deal, huh?
I think it's going to be cool, man. We've been working on it for 3 years or so, and it's really cool because it's the only app, it's the only fantasy game that allows you to make real-time substitutions. So, it's no longer you can sit there. Now, if you're an excuse maker, if you're a victim like a lot of people are in this country, then it's probably not for you, right? Because you want to point the finger at your running back who didn't have a good day and blame him for losing your fantasy championship. But, in this app, if your running back is not performing, bench his ass and start your backup. Same with your quarterback, your receivers. You're the coach. You can make real-time decisions. You can pull your guys. You can start other guys in the middle of the game. Hey, in the second quarter, your guy gets injured. Bam, put your backup quarterback in. But problem solved, issue solved, and you don't have to lose. And by the way, you can win cash prizes. We got a $5,000 grand prize for the guy in my league who scores the most points. So It's going to be pretty exciting. I'm really excited about it. Mark Schlereth renegadefantasy.com. If you want to join into my league, it's the Stinking Truth Fantasy Showdown.
I love it, man. We look forward to talking football with you again this year.
It's going to be great. Look forward to it, guys. Take care.